fiction finalists Louise, Erdrich, The Roundhouse, Harper, an imprint of HarperCollins Publishers.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming out tonight. My narrator is 13 years old. His name is Joe, and he's thinking back and remembering a summer in which his life is entirely changed. His father is a tribal judge, and for Joe, that summer really begins when his father wakes up from a nap and says, "Where is your mother?" And they begin to go look for her. They take a car, then they find her and see her. There. She whizzed by us in the other lane, riveted, driving over the speed limit, anxious to get back home to us. But here we were. We laughed at her set face as we did a U-turn there on the highway and followed her, eating her dust. "She's mad." My father laughed, so relieved. "See? I told you, she forgot. Went to the grocery, forgot it was closed. Mad, she wasted gas." "Oh, Geraldine." There was amusement, adoration, amazement in his voice when he said those words. "Oh, Geraldine." Just from those two words, it was clear that he was and always had been in love with my mother. He had never stopped being grateful that she had married him and right afterward given him a son, when he'd come to believe that he was the end of the line. "Oh, Geraldine." He shook his head, smiling as we drove along, and everything was all right, more than all right. We could now admit we had been worried by my mother's uncharacteristic absence. We could be jolted into a fresh awareness of how we valued the sanctity of small routine. Wild though I saw myself in the mirror in my thoughts, I valued such ordinary pleasures. So it was our turn then to worry her. "Just a little," said my father. "Just let her in for a taste of her own medicine." We took our time bringing the car back and walked up the hill, up the dirt driveway. Alongside it in a strict row, Mom had planted the pansy seedlings she'd grown in paper milk cartons. She'd put them out early, the only flower that can stand a frost. As we came up the drive, we saw that she was still in the car, sitting in the driver's seat before the blank wall of the garage door. My father started running, and I could see it too in the set of her body, something fixed, rigid, wrong. When he got to the car, he opened the driver's side door. Her hands were clenched on the wheel, and she was staring blindly ahead, as she had been when we passed her going the opposite way on the road. We'd seen her intent stare, and we'd laughed then. She's mad at the wasted gas. I was behind my father, careful even then to step over the scalloped pansy leaves and buds. He put his hands on hers and carefully pried her fingers off the steering wheel. Cradling her elbows, he lifted her from the car and supported her as she shifted toward him, still bent in the shape of the car seat. She slumped against him, stared past me. There was vomit down the front of her dress, and soaking her skirt, and soaking the gray cloth of the car seat, her dark blood. "Go down to your aunt," said my father. "Go down there and say I'm taking your mother straight to emergency. Tell them to follow." With one hand, he opened the door to the back seat, and then, as though they were dancing in some awful way, he maneuvered Mom to the edge of the seat and very slowly laid her back, helped her turn over on her side. She was silent, though now she moistened her cracked, bleeding lips with the tip of her tongue. I saw her blink, a little frown. Her face was beginning to swell. I went around to the other side and got in with her. I lifted her head and slid my leg underneath. I sat with her, holding my arm over her shoulder. She vibrated with a steady shudder, like a switch had been flipped inside. A strong smell rose from her, vomit and something else like gas or kerosene. "I'll drop you off down there," my father said, backing out, the car tires screeching. "No, I'm coming too. I've got to hold on to her. We'll call from the hospital." I had almost never challenged my father in word or deed, but it didn't even register between us. I was holding my mother tightly now in the back seat of the car. Her blood was on me. I reached under the back window ledge and pulled down the old plaid quilt we kept there. She was shaking so bad I was scared she would fly apart. "Hurry, Dad." "All right," he said, and we flew there. He had the car up past 90. We just flew.